All right. Well, I think with that, I will get things kicked off. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. This is another in our monthly series of adaptive planning demos. I'm Brad Jameson with eCapital Advisors, and today we're going to be doing a brief Workday adaptive planning demo specific for retailers. All right. So the agenda for today, before I go into the agenda, there is a safe harbor statement I should make that we possibly may make some forward-looking statements as we go through the demo today. Workday assumes no obligation, nor does it intend to update any forward-looking statements. Basically, what we're saying is please evaluate the software as it exists today and not based on any potential future releases. That being said, I will get to the agenda. We're just going to go through some quick introductions, who eCapital is, why we are partnered with Workday Adaptive Planning, a couple of brief success stories around some retailers that eCapital has worked with using Workday Adaptive Planning to help simplify their lives. And then Husai, my colleague here, will be doing a demonstration, an abbreviated demonstration of the Workday Adaptive Planning software, and then I'll just kind of summarize it at the end. All right, so again, the introductions. I'm Brad Jameson. I am with eCapital Advisors, been here about a year and a half as a business advisor for our FP&A team. And with me is Husai Garwal. I'll let you do a brief introduction, Husai.
Perfect. Thank you, Brad. Husai Garwal. Nice to meet everyone on the call. I'm based here in Minneapolis, joined the firm a little over 2 years ago in this pre-sales role. So as Brad mentioned, I'll be the one walking you through the demonstration here. It will be a little bit of abbreviated demonstration, but happy to jump on a call and do a very tailored demonstration for you and your business. But prior to joining eCapital Advisors, I actually spent about a decade in just a variety of FP&A roles. So I have sat in most of your shoes, done lots of budgeting, forecasting, and planning, and have also used adaptive insights prior to the Workday acquisition in one of my previous analyst roles. But happy to be here. Love the product. Ever since the Workday acquisition, it has come even a lot further than when I used it about 5 years ago. But looking forward to our demonstration here and connecting with you afterwards.
Perfect. Thanks, Husai. And I don't have this picture up here, but Scott Wolf is one of our panelists here as well. Scott is one of our senior consultants. So if you just want to say a quick hello, Scott, we'll move from there.
I've been with eCapital 3.5 years. I'm based out of Chicago and here to answer any technical questions or implementation related questions that may come out of the call today.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Scott. So we will continue with a presentation here that I have at the beginning. I'm going to try and spend just a little time sort of giving you a background of who eCapital is, why we're partnered with Workday Adaptive Planning, and how we can potentially help you in the retail space. All right, so partnership for success. On the right side is us. We're eCapital Advisors. We've been a business partner, not just any partner. We are a premier business partner with Workday Adaptive Planning. We've had over 20 years experience in the FP&A space. Started with the Office of Finance on different planning and reporting type tools, and we've kind of grown out from there. I'll talk about that just a little bit in a couple of slides down the road. But just a ton of industry expertise. Retail manufacturing really is our sweet spot. That's one of the reasons that we partnered with Workday Adaptive Planning is they were looking for business partners that do have really in-depth knowledge of experience around retail, manufacturing, hospitality, and so forth. Again, I'm starting from the right-hand side here on the slide, but we've implemented over 65 projects for Workday Adaptive Planning, many of those in retail, and we'll get to a few of those just here in a moment. On the left-hand side, Workday Adaptive Planning, Workday did acquire adaptive planning about 3.5 years ago. Adaptive planning was a cloud-based planning and reporting solution for finance. Workday evaluated several of these types of cloud-based vendors and chose adaptive planning. So now combined, there is over $4 billion in revenue. Much of that goes back into the product for design and development. Workday continues to be on the Fortune Future 50 list, world's most innovative companies, number 2, and best company to work for in 2020. Not sure where they're ranked in 2021. I'm sure it's still in the top 5. Right in the middle, planning highlights, close to 6,000 customers now of adaptive planning and Workday. So that's a very, very strong customer base. One of the things Workday really likes to tout here is a 97% retention, and customer success is right in there, that 96, 97% of customer satisfaction, I should say. All right, so that's why we're partnered with Workday Adaptive. If I get my slide to move. There we go. So back to eCapital, our story. This you can look at the Venn diagram on the right there, that blue dot, performance management. As I mentioned before, that's really where eCapital got our start in the performance management space, working with CFOs, controllers, VPs of FP&A and so forth, really helping them understand and make more sense of the data that they had to work with so that they can make better business decisions. We've implemented over 500 successful customers, again, to really help our clients use their data a little bit better than they were before. If you look, you kind of go around the horn here. eCapital Advisors has really dove into analytics, automation, business data science as well, right? So that automation is a really key area I'm going to touch on here in a couple of slides, that many CFOs and others in the Office of Finance are looking for some help to kind of take some of those routine, those mundane tasks off the plate of finance users so that their time is better spent. All right, and of course, as a business consultant, we do offer consulting and advisory services as well. And right there in the middle of the diagram, that's our sweet spot. That is where eCapital plays. Bottom line, we are here to help you empower your business. All right. So by doing so, we like to focus on the modern day CFO. CFOs are a much larger part of the business than they were many years ago, right? I'm sure you can understand that. Involved with, not just kind of looking at the past, but looking at the future and how the company can continue to drive revenue. So part of that is speed to insight, right? We really want to make CFOs and others in the Office of Finance make quicker, better business decisions based on real data, not necessarily based on gut feel, even though that's always going to be, I think, a part of what a CFO does. That speed to insight is what we would really like to drive towards and help you make better decisions based on actual data. Also, cost management, of course, right now, especially, certainly in 2020, there's always some factors out there that are driving costs. So really, by leveraging the power of the adaptive planning platform, we can really help manage some of those costs. And of course, financial efficiency, right? That's always going to be the goal of a CFO. Our strategic partnerships, we start in the Office of Finance and we kind of grow out from there to really assist an organization. All right, I'm not going to go through all of these, but this was a Gartner study that was just done early in 2022. Just what's important to CFOs right now. The top three there, you can see these are all areas that I just talked about in the eCapital Venn diagram. Pursue predictive analytics in finance, right? So again, not just basing decisions on information that's occurred in the past, but using more of a predictive analytics insight into how you can plan for the future. CFOs also want to elevate finance's digital skills, getting away from something we're going to talk about today, Excel, right? So kind of getting away from that, going into more of a digital automated world that's easier to use. It's not so siloed. It's not prone to errors. And of course, make full use of the planning systems that you have. Again, many of your planning system is an Excel spreadsheet, right? So our goal is to kind of show you what else is out there and really making full use of the planning system's capabilities. A couple of more bullet points I'll just touch on this slide. You look right in the middle there in blue. By 2023, 50% of large finance organizations will be looking to use AI to create short-term financial forecasts. Really, really an important initiative. I was kind of shocked when I saw this myself. And then you look down at the bottom, 82% of CFOs do expect to spend more time on advanced analytics technologies and tools, right? Again, going away from relying on the gut, going more to a technology-focused solution. And 78% of CFOs are being honest, right? They expect it to be very difficult to achieve these goals, and it probably will be. Again, that's where an eCapital business partner is here to help. All right, just a couple more slides here. This one, most of our customers no eCapital advisors kind of from this area, this planning tools area that we're talking about today, right? So in addition to Workday Adaptive Planning, we do have partnerships with Oracle, Hyperion, OneStream around the close and consolidations and so forth, as well as IBM Cognos, TM1, as some of you might remember. But in addition to that, we do offer a great variety of different reporting tools that are out there, consolidation tools, if you really want to dig into some of those, that close consolidation process. We do have additional partnerships with folks like Fluence Technologies, which is a new cloud-based technology. And then if you go to the far left, everyone's got their different data sources, from your classic ERP like Oracle, SAP, and NetSuite to SQL Server, Excel. Of course, Excel is used as a data source. We can take all of that information, Snowflake, whatever it is, kind of centralize it, stitch it through this modern data hub, so that we really have good, clean data that we can use before presenting it back to you from kind of from a planning and reporting standpoint. And throughout the process, I've mentioned this a couple of times before, but we've got that robotic process automation, using AI, using automation to really help streamline some of the tasks that most folks have to do in organizations. Almost done here. Quick NASCAR slide of a few of our clients. These are all specific Workday Adaptive Planning clients. Several retail organizations are on here. Duluth Trading, I'm going to touch on here in just a minute. Meridian Brick, one of the largest brick manufacturers in North America, using eCapital and Workday Adaptive Planning. Several more, I won't go through all of them. Lifetime Fitness, great customer of ours. Sun Country Airlines has used Workday Adaptive Planning to really do a lot of their kind of scenario planning, what if analysis about where flights take off and where they land and how they can optimize their revenue. Again, won't go through all of these great stories behind every single logo here, but just wanted to show you a quick sample. All right, now specifically on to retailers. Here are the challenges that we hear from retail organizations. I've mentioned this before. Excel-based templates, very difficult to manage, out-of-date technology, prone to errors, and lack of timely and meaningful insights to drive business. Right? Retail is moving super, super fast. You need to understand, if I put this item on sale at 40% off, what kind of revenues can I expect on that? A lot of retailers are kind of lacking that timely insight. Limited resources, right? That's kind of the story across the board, not necessarily retail, but retail's definitely being hit hard with resources, right? Time, people, funding, and of course, data validation issues. It's always a critical factor to getting the right data. Back to that slide I just talked about, taking all of that information from your source data, kind of cleaning it up, validating it before pushing it out into your report. So these are all challenges, again, not necessarily specific to retail, but many of our retail customers, like Duluth Trading, have talked about that. A couple of months ago, we did a retail customer spotlight with a wonderful customer of ours, Duluth Trading. Probably know them, probably seen the great commercials. These were some direct quotes from Chris Steppies, the director of FP&A at Duluth Trading. By using and leveraging Workday Adaptive Planning, they have more time to be strategic and less time getting at the data. That was just a huge time constraint of theirs was getting at that data. They were using Excel before, like many folks do. Very prone to errors. With adaptive planning, it's more automated, it's more accurate, and it's more secure. They're doing monthly what-if analysis for sales planning, a great feature which Hosai is going to show you in just a moment here. To do, like I said before, what if I put this item on sale? What if I raise this? What if we allow more returns in the e-commerce and whatever the case is? You could do all kinds of scenario plans within Workday Adaptive. And then finally, Workday Adaptive Planning is the most intuitive, most user-friendly solution on the market today. Not coming from me, coming from Duluth Trading. They evaluated several different vendors and chose adaptive planning for these reasons. All right, a couple more customer quotes. I'm not going to go through all of these. These are just a few examples of some other customers that eCapital has worked with over the past few years. Just some great validation of working with eCapital advisors on their adaptive planning project. Look at the bottom left, Megan from Unchained Labs. We've saved them days at the month end close, right? It used to take them 7 or 8 days to close the month. They're now doing it in one and a half just terrific quotes there. Lifetime Fitness, another great customer of ours. We help them do 13-month same store sales projects. eCapital came in and delivered that when they were told they couldn't do that from other folks. So just wanted to go through all of that. Thank you for your time and attention. What you're here for is to see this demo. So now I'm going to turn it over to Husai, who's going to walk us through this demo of dashboards using adaptive planning, then moving into budgeting and planning, and finishing up with reporting. That being said, I'm going to take a breath, Husai. I'm going to stop sharing and send it over to you.
Perfect. Thank you, Brad. I'm going to take over the share from you.
Perfect.
And just to confirm, you guys can see my screen? Perfect. Well, let's get started. So as Brad said, we'll start out on dashboards. Before I start and take a quick deep dive into dashboards, I just want to take a minute or two here, get you all acclimated to the screen that you're looking at, so you can follow along of where I'm pivoting and navigating to. So I'm logged in, and upon my login, I'm presented with dashboards, but really you can be presented with anything that you want to see upon your immediate login. It can be dashboards, it can be a variance report, or any other type of report you want to see, or a sheet, but upon your immediate login. We are in a demo model here, so it's some demo data, but on the top right-hand corner here, we're logged in right now as Director of FP&A, Patrick O'Brien, and we are a power user. We're also the only user at this point in time. So as you give access to additional users within your organization, you will always see your additional users in the system while you're logged into your model. Next to Patrick's profile, we have this little question mark. I always like to highlight this. This is the built-in knowledge center. Think of it almost like a Google search with guided click options, where you can really search for anything during implementation, post-implementation, and you will be provided with some quick and helpful short videos and articles around anything you may be looking to get a quick refresher on. Next to the question mark is our version toggle, top right-hand corner, always available to you. We're right now on that working budget. Later on here, we'll go behind the scenes and spin up a new scenario together, and then we'll use that in our deep dive within planning. But you can always easily toggle on your right-hand side here within your different versions. Now, last but not least, on your left-hand side under the W Workday icon is your access to the navigation menu. Quick highlight, we are a power user. We have access to everything in the model, including modeling, administration, and integration, and formulas. These last four here kind of make up the back door to the structure of your model. I call it, that's where the magic happens, where your power users can go behind the system. And as your business changes, grows, expands, you can go and adjust your model along. So with that, let's take that quick deep dive on dashboards. So what you see here on your screen are just a handful of widgets that I have created that are important to me based on some data that I have brought in. Now, you're not limited to just bringing in GL type of data. You can bring in any type of data. We can connect to unlimited data sources. Perhaps if you have your sales data in your Salesforce or any other system that you're using today to hold your sales data, or even if it's living in your current existing ERP, we can connect to those and bring in your data and create those widgets around that data. So I'm hopping over within my perspectives here in the top section. I am within my retail dashboard, and you can have as many perspectives as you need, again, to create those widgets and KPIs, metrics that are important to you. I'm hopping through a few of these here just to give you a little bit of the taste of the art of the possible within your data visuals. Now, all of these widgets, they're not just static pictures of your data, but you can actually use them, drill down to bottom level of detail.
And Jose, I'd like to just jump in here for a moment.
Absolutely.
Dashboards are a great way, not just for executives within an organization, although they typically love these. They love to kind of see at a glance what's going on in their business every morning. But in retail, very specifically, Duluth Trading has dashboards that go out to the general managers of all their stores. So those general managers, like you said, inventory, different KPIs that they're tracking at their fingertips. So this can be on a laptop or on a mobile device. They can log in and see instantly what's going on in their specific store.
Perfect. Yes, comes with unlimited viewing licenses. Like Brad said, your executives can have those viewing licenses to really answer questions on the fly. As I mentioned, they're not static, so they're drillable. If we take this as an example here, store sales by category, it looks like in our teal color, 22% out of our pies, all in our food category. We can explore the data to further level of detail to understand, well, which store perhaps is driving the most of that amount. Looks like it's store number 7 here at $1.2 million. We can keep going, keep asking those questions using our dimensions, or we can go into this explore data, which is our cell explorer within Adaptive, that allows you to drill down even further on this data point that we just drilled down on from our dashboards to something that almost looks like an Excel spreadsheet, where we can really analyze of how we arrived at that $1.2 million for that food category. So imagine your executives being able to have this access drill through to where the modeling is actually done by all of the dimensions and attributes.
And to that point, Husai, sorry to jump in, but we're working with another customer now who has this data, and then they have someone who's building out dashboards using a different tool through Power BI, and then saving that off in a PDF static sheet. Looks great, looks really pretty, but if that CEO or whoever it is wants to drill into that level of detail that's behind the dashboard, they can't do it. It's a static sheet. So within Workday Adaptive Planning, as Husai just showed, any question that you have, just a click of a button, you can drill through, you can find out exactly what's making up that number.
To continue on, in our top blue ribbon here are our dimensions. Just want to highlight a concept here around level. Level is just an adaptive term. All it really means is your organizational hierarchy. So this is where customization will come in place and where the model gets fully configured of how your hierarchies are organized. And that's where your level structure will get created. And also security will get assigned at that level structure. That's always our first place of security. Based on your departments or stores, we assign the security accordingly. And it can take it even a step further if you want to have more detailed security around dimensions that can also be set up. Real quick, while we're here on the top blue ribbon, if you are in a multi-currency, Adaptive can handle that for you behind the scenes. We upload a currency translation table, and Adaptive does the calculations automatically for you. Now, before I leave our dashboards here, I know Brad mentioned it, but Snapshot Scheduler is very powerful within Adaptive. As you bring in your data, be it on a daily, weekly basis, you can absolutely schedule those individual snapshots to those users, and they will receive it in their inbox that they can log in and view their widgets. Now, with that, let's pivot over into planning. Let's go behind the scenes together just a little bit to set us up with a new scenario, and then we'll take a deep dive into planning. And as we move along, I forgot to mention this. If you have questions, please feel free to throw them out into the chat. Scott will try to get to them as we go through our demo, or we can also address them at the very end. So if there are questions on dashboards, feel free to throw them into your chat. But if you are thinking about how hard are they to create, they're actually super easy, drag and drop functionality. Our consultants will have a recorded training session with you to really enable you to create these on the fly on your own.
Great point, Hussein. I'm sorry I didn't point that out at the front. Yeah, just look at the Q&A button or the chat button on the bottom of your screen. Throw in a question for you. I'll be monitoring it. Scott will be monitoring it. We'll be happy to answer it for you. Great.
Perfect, thank you. So let's go into that model management. This is our admin console available to your power users. Again, training session, we'll have it recorded. This tool is really built for the Office of Finance. I think I mentioned in my introduction, I have used this as a senior analyst in my previous role here before joining eCapital Advisors, but easy to use. Once you get in here and you navigate within these boxes, this is where you can adjust your structure as your business grows and expands. Right now for our demo here today, we're going to go into our version and time, where we'll spin up a carbon copy of our baseline working budget. On my left-hand side here, I have just a handful of versions that I have created. One of them is our working budget. Imagine this is your baseline budget we've put together here for 2023. Now, let's take that carbon copy. Let's do a scenario plan, like scenario planning in the example of Duluth training. This is one thing that we were able to help them out where they're now doing scenario planning, what if scenario planning on a monthly basis. Your rolling forecast, similar concept as you bring in your actuals for the next month worth of data. You can lock those months, is exact same concept of how you create and copy those versions and actualize your data. You can give it a short name, you can give it a description, you can also lock versions. Once you lock it, it gives it that little lock icon where no one else can come in and make any more changes or adjustments to that version. So version control is very easy within Workday Adaptive Planning. If you ever find yourself in the event of working with a confidential scenario, want to model something out that's perhaps more confidential, you can always spin up a scenario and have it even be hidden from other power users as well. Now in the options box here, how far back you want to go and how far out into the future. If you are thinking of doing 3-year plans, 5-year, or perhaps even 10-year plans, you absolutely can do that by selecting the correct out year time. Now we're taking that carbon copy of that baseline working budget, and upon save, I'm placing it right here on my left-hand side underneath that working budget in my bottom-up folder. Folder structure available to you as well. If you choose to create lots and lots of versions, use the folders, as many as you need, stay neat and organized with all your versions. And now we're ready to go to use that new scenario here in our deep dive for planning. So as we think of planning within Adaptive, planning in Adaptive is done within the area of sheets and assumptions. Assumptions are basically sheets as well, where you can hold drivers to help in modeling within your individual sheets. Now the term sheet, you can also think of that as an individual tab within an Excel workbook. You can have as many as you need to do that detailed granular modeling that then gets rolled up to your financials. And also to mention important here is when you first purchase Workday Adaptive Planning, it does come with an out-of-the-box P&L balance sheet and cash flow, a workforce and a CapEx, but they will fully get configured to how you view your financials. So all these additional sheets that you see here on my ribbon are just detailed sheets that I'm using in my modeling. Now let's get started on sales planning. And while we're here, let's also open up a driver sheet. And I am planning to walk through with you on a workforce plan as well. So sales planning. This is a sheet within Adaptive. So top right-hand corner, as I mentioned earlier, we always have our versions available. So as you saw me spin up that scenario, immediately it's available to us to use in our detailed modeling, make some adjustments and see the impact to our financials. Now, this is an example of what perhaps sales planning could look like for you. In my example, I'm looking at product, my different SKUs that I have, perhaps by customer and also by store. Now you can have additional dimensions here. You may be modeling your sales planning by category of your products, by channel, by location, by region. That's where we will get it fully configured to how you slice and dice your data. What are the dimensions that are important to you and how do you do your planning today? What you see here on my left-hand side, I have my units, I have an average sales price, perhaps some discounts or promotions or campaigns you're trying to run at a store location for a specific SKU, for a category of product. Really, the sky's the limit of how you want to do that sales planning and get that modeled out here. Now, in my example here, in January of 2023 for the specific SKU, I have 145 units. We can easily come in here and make an adjustment. Anytime you make a change in Adaptive, it turns blue, kind of presents itself to you before you commit to it. So let's change that to about 250. Let's say we were going to hover around that every month and copy it forward to the end. And upon save, it is going to commit to it and a trickle effect is going to go into place and take that new units at the store location. Now, this is just one way, super easy, user-friendly sheets to use. Our FY 2023 here is now at 3,000. Let's say we were going to round this up, or we're asked by our executives, what if we're going to sell about 5,000 SKUs and base it on however we sold the year before? So proportionally using prior year's values. These are just a few different ways of being able to break that back. And this break back functionality comes with the model. It's not something that just gets created for you alone. So upon save, let's keep this as a change here. Now we're looking at just a specific slice and dice, but we can also slice and dice the sheet, pivot it, where let's say we don't want to make the change just at a specific SKU, but we want to touch with one click all of our different SKUs that we have for our volume at store one. Looks like we're at 19,265. Let's round it up to 20,000. Again, it breaks it back, spreading back the difference, rounding us up to 20,000, but keeping that initial baseline budget we had in the individual cells. Now, I want to reference back to Duluth Trading real quick while we're here. This is something we were able to help them a lot with because they were in 60 different workbooks at each of their individual stores. We were able to consolidate them to one sheet or one tab, being able to be able to do that slicing and dicing just the way you saw me do. So I'm going to pivot that back here. So we just made a change to volume, specifically to store one. We can simply do this exact same exercise across all of our stores, across our customers, slice and dice the sheet, pivot it any way we want. The next example here in row 3, we have an average sale price of $96. Now this time around, I don't have a white cell, I have a gray cell with a little blue triangle, and all this really means here, and we can tell from our formula ribbon that this is coming from our driver sheet, where we're holding just a handful of different drivers to do some detailed modeling. Now pivoting over to that driver sheet, first thing before we make any changes, let's pivot over to that what if scenario we spun up together. And getting us to our store one, you'll see our $96 here for our average sales price. You'll see some other different drivers we have in this model here, such as perhaps some overhead cost or some material cost. Here's our $96 for that specific SKU. Let's say all the way through December of 2023, we're going to increase our prices. What will happen if volume increases, and what will happen if we increase price? We can do this 2 different ways, by value or a percent. Let's just do it by percent. And our $96 here has now changed to $105.60. So we are on our driver sheet now. Making a change in one place, in adaptive, there are no overnight processes that need to run or batch processes to reflect your impact to your financials. You can have that in real time. If we pivot back to that revenue, our detailed revenue or sales planning sheet here, refresh on here, you'll see the $96 refresh to the $105.60. We've made the change. We can see our new gross revenue, our net revenue, all the way up to our P&L, cash flow, and balance sheet.
Vasai, I think you mentioned this, but I just wanted to reiterate, when you made that 10% change, folks on the call, you saw that everything was in blue that was going to change, and that didn't switch over to black until she clicked the save button. So you could always see what's going to be impacted by your change. Again, I think you said that already, Vasai, but I think that was just worth reiterating.
Yes, perfect. Adaptive calls this the elastic hypercube technology. That's the architecture it's built on. It's a big fancy word, but all it really means, you make a change in one place, it turns blue upon save. You can really see the impact in real time and really give you that power to be able to make those decisions in a timely manner. As Brad was saying early on in our introduction, speed to insights. You make your change, you can see if you are happy with the change in your dashboards, in your reports, really anywhere to be able to make those timely decisions. So let's pivot on before we run out of time here. I do want to make it to reporting, and let's take a quick look at workforce planning. Now, I have 2 examples for workforce planning. One is more kind of a corporate-based workforce model that I have, but for Duluth Trading, we did a corporate workforce plan. We also did a variable workforce plan where it was more position-based. So let's walk through the 2 examples real quick here, just to give you a glimpse of what it can perhaps look like for you. on this workforce plan, wherever you have your payroll data is where we will get connected to, bring in your data, be it a flat file load or an automatic connection. We can connect and bring that data in and bring in these individual columns here that you see on my screen. As an example, I have name, title, residency for tax. Based on what we're selecting from these drop downs, it drives the cost to our P&L here, such as for our employees here in New York, perhaps the FICA, FUTAs, and other benefit costs are different than in any of the other states. We have a common column here, start date, end date, your hourly employees, health plan benefits, again, just another drop down. The costs for plan 1, 2, and 3 are all very different. Scooting over here a little bit to the right, your commission models, your pay raise, pay rates, and you can also allocate employees. In the example here of William Clark, he's spread over store number 1 and store number 2 based on his 40-60 split here. His revenue or that he's generating or expenses will get pushed to the P&L based on the split. Now these sheets, just like the other sheet you just saw where we made some changes to our volume, easy to use for sake of simplicity. Let's say we're going to copy a row, we're going to have an open requisition. For a corporate employee, we're going to have or need another accountant, as an example. This accountant is going to be placed in New York, and let's adjust the date. We're already in the middle of July, so let's have our accountant start in the middle of August, and let's keep everything else the same. Since this employee is in New York, let's give them a nice salary. Again, everything is blue, and upon saving, it's going to turn black, and everything is going to get calculated and get pushed to the P&L. Also highlight, we are in that what if scenario. Not only are we adjusting volume and price, we also need that open rec for a new accountant. Now, within these sheets, the row details always allows you to see what is exactly being calculated and pushed to the P&L. So if we scoot over to the right here, when we have our new accountant start, we have a 1 head count, the FTE is 0.58, so automatically our salary is less in the month of August than it is in September. These are just a few other models or drivers here that I have, where my model has a recruiting fee for a new employee, and this is where configuration again will come in place.
Perfect, looks great. Just a time check, Husai, we're about 40 minutes past the hour, so wanted to give you that. I think you wanted to maybe show some reporting.
Yep. Let's do a quick pivot over into, before we go into reporting, I want to just flash this up here. Just another example of doing more variable workforce modeling where it's more position based. So there are many different options of how we can model this, your corporate employees versus your variable by position based. As you see here on my screen now, I have my managers at store 1, I have my assistant managers, staff, stock, again, all the different types of employees that you have, where we're using drivers also on additional driver sheets, such as the number of operating days in the month, where they're located, the hourly pay, and also at what location they're at. So just another example of being able to use these sheets. They're very flexible to really get configured to your business and how you do your modeling. Hopping over to one of those driver sheets here where I'm holding my pay rates, just to reiterate the fact that we have these connected sheets where we make the change, let's say for all of our California locations, our manager rates, we are in that what if scenario. Let's say that is actually going to be closer to $30. We'll copy that all the way to the end, and upon save, we can see the impact immediately. And then we'll pivot over to reports here. But just wanted to kind of flash that as a second type of example of being able to do different types of workforce modeling. So upon refresh here, you'll see the new wages here for our managers change from about 18,000 to 22. Okay. So let's pivot over to reporting. Now with reporting, Workday Adaptive Planning has 3 main buckets of reporting. Dashboards are really just one way of visualizing your data. Your second main bucket of reporting are web-based reports. And I have prepared for us a variance report. And then the third main bucket, which I'll get to here in a few minutes, is Office Connect. So on this variance report that you see here, I have two different versions. So let's pivot this over to the version we are actually working with. We took that carbon copy of our working baseline budget, and upon refresh, we can see the impact to our financials. So we have two variance columns, your dollar, your percent. We also have an impact column with items that you can highlight, flags, red or green, kind of let the system tell you where the hot buttons are. On our left-hand side, we can see our income statement, balance sheet, cash flow. Some financial metrics can have operational metrics on here as well. All one page, one view, no need to pivot into additional models. You can see all of your financials here on one page. Scrolling up to the top here, expand collapse capability. These are very interactive. If your executives use these, they can drill through to bottom level of detail, slice and dice. Let's say we get to that bottom level, a click within your leaf on your account allows you to slice and dice perhaps by your different stores. So we can see that we made that unit change earlier today here in store one. So the variance is all in that, our favorable variance here in store one. So you can also see that our little green flags here coming up. So Cell Explorer available, not static. You can drill through on them. Really anyone, if you're an analyst, the power user, just a viewer of the data, you can really interact with these reports. You can also export these into or download them into Excel, PDF. We can go into edit mode. The edit mode here allows you to get back behind the scenes of this report. It's a drag and drop functionality to create these reports. So let's go to our third main bucket of reports. I know I'm going a little fast, but as there are questions, please feel free to put them into the chat. Let's pivot over into the Office Connect. So Office Connect is a Microsoft Office add-in. It integrates with Excel, PowerPoint, and Word. I personally think of the Office Connect as the board style reporting, where if you need to have perhaps a deck that's more than 1 or 2 pages long and really need to get it pixel perfect, use the Office Connect. It really gives you the power and flexibility of knowing your data is all coming from one place. It's all connected to Adaptive, but gives you that flexibility of that native Excel functionality to create the reports exactly the way your users or your audience needs to see them. So once you download the Office Connect, it will appear in your top ribbon upon highlighting your linked cells. All the highlighted cells here in blue are coming directly out of Adaptive. Green here are our labels also coming out of Adaptive. Now, if we bring in our task pane, this is your structure within your model connected to your Adaptive instance. Now, to be able to connect these, just like within the web-based reports or dashboards, which I haven't had a chance to highlight yet, but let's highlight it now. It's drag and drop. We go into our structure here. There are my taxes and benefits through other expense. Drag and drop. Our rows here are now going to get connected. They'll turn blue because we have that connection established. We'll refresh this sheet. It goes and looks at Adaptive and brings in your data. So as you can see here, column B, this is all Excel functionality. Let's hide that task pane so you can see a little bit better on your end. Everything here in column O and Q, these are Excel formulas and Excel formatting. Now, one last exercise while we are on here. I can ask you to keep your eyes on columns I, K, and M. Before our demonstration here today, I went behind the scenes and just refreshed our data for the month of April. Now imagine you have just closed your books for the month of April and you have a board book that's 100 pages long, which I hope it's not, but if it is, use the Office Connect, create it 100 pages, 200 pages, and upon selecting within your workbook properties, we can roll this book automatically forward. This time around, my example is about 12 tabs. It's going to go and refresh all of our tabs here for us and roll the book automatically forward. So takes away that time that you perhaps are spending today and copying and pasting and moving your columns around and relinking your reports and really giving back that time to you in your day to close your books, bring in the actuals for your next month, and really spend the time on what is actually happening in the business and actually analyze the data more so than ticking and tying your data.
Yeah, so much time spent copying and pasting and late nights and weekends getting those board books ready. I'm sure the folks on the line can appreciate that. So it's a great service to those folks who are stuck doing that.
Yes. One last thing to mention within Office Connect is this repeating reports. Super powerful. You create the tab once for one of your stores or areas or region. You can use the system, you use the repeating report functionality to be able to copy this exact same departmental or store P&L tab here for your additional stores and share it with your users. So last but not least, just to highlight the connectivity to our PowerPoint. This is our easy button, or I like to refer to this as our easy button. It connects to your Excel book, your board book within Excel. Again, however many pages that's long, and refreshes your data in PowerPoint for you. Where then again, you can spend that time on your storytelling and not have to worry about all your tables and columns and your data accuracy. So with that, that's all I had prepared for us here today. So I am on time.
You are absolutely on time, and thank you. That was a very abbreviated demo, but I just wanted to kind of highlight some of the different areas within Workday Adaptive Planning that can really simplify the life of a VP of FP&A, a controller, a CFO, etc. So with that being said, I'm just going to take control of the screen again here just for another moment, just to kind of wrap things up. Of course, we will just continue to say any questions, please put them in the chat or the Q&A, and we'll be happy to answer them. So I think I mentioned at the top, this is a demo in our monthly series of demos that eCapital Advisors has been providing. In addition to that, we do have different thought leadership events that are happening throughout the US. We have something called FP&A Roundtable, which are just great opportunities to get together with like-minded folks in your city, and a great opportunity to network. We've done the last few of these. I know it looks like we're a little bit out of date here, but we've done the last few in Dallas, Minneapolis, and Omaha. Again, really connecting different finance leaders around a specific city, and it's a great discussion and a great dinner and networking opportunity. Just had one virtually last week. We will continue these throughout the rest of the year. So Lisa David is one of the partners here at eCapital Advisors, and combined with Husai Garwal, who you just met, they do offer women in finance events as well. So these are two thought leaders, I should say, in the eCapital organization. In addition to those roundtable events, of course, we will hold additional private dining events as well. As I mentioned, so we did manufacturing in June. Today was this retail specific demo. Next month is going to be around hospitality. I know that there are definitely some areas that kind of cross there within those three different industries, but we're going to continue to do these through the rest of 2022 on different industries as well. All right, and lastly, we do have different videos available in addition to what you just saw from Husai. We've got small little snippets, 2, 3, 4 minutes long, around things like dashboards and scenario planning, which you've already seen, but perhaps you want to show to someone else in the organization, hey, here's a quick 3-minute video of something that I just saw today. Maybe we want to take a closer look at that. And with that being said, really, I'm looking at perhaps giving everyone a little bit of time back in their afternoon. That was it for us. Husai, that was absolutely perfect and on time. Just to reiterate, eCapital is a premier business partner with Workday Adaptive Planning, meaning that we are in the top 4 business partners in the world with Workday Adaptive. So really appreciate your time this afternoon. Would love to speak with you in more detail following this event. If you registered through Eventbrite, one of us here at eCapital will be following up with you just to see if there's any next steps that you're willing to take, or if this is just kind of a first stage in your process, and that's fine as well. That being said, I'm not seeing any questions in the chat. Husai, Scott, anything else before we wrap? All right. Husai, thanks so much for your time going through that. With that being said, I wish everyone a good afternoon, and I'm going to give you a few minutes of your life back. Have a great day.